On the 5th day of my journey, I broke my camp, did some field hygiene, and began on the Butterfield Overland Mail Stagecoach across the American Southwest. I set off alongside the Gila River Irrigation Canal, where I was able to make use of some seldom traveled service roads to find my way back to tracing the trail. Today would be a day full of obstacles to overcome. This was my first day in extremely remote areas of the Gila River Valley, often with no cell service and little to no traffic. Aside from the few miles I drove on the interstate in the afternoon, I actually didn't see any other people this day. I made my way along the back roads and through the sandy washes, with some of them being too sandy. Despite running at a low tire pressure, I sank into the soft sandy wash. My first attempt at becoming unstuck involved the treads I'd been carrying around over my last few expeditions. I'd had success with treads in the past, but I forgot a critical component: securing the tread to the vehicle. As I leapt forward into more sand, my tire completely buried one of my treads so deep in the sand that it was unrecoverable. I hoped it wouldn't meet the same fate for the other one, so I began to dig. I learned an outstanding field-expedient recovery technique where you dig an anchor into the ground in order to winch yourself out. Rather than risk losing my sole remaining tread, I was able to utilize it as an anchor to slowly but surely winch myself out of the perilous soft sand. But it required a lot of digging. I persisted through several attempts, frustrated, but not deterred. I decided to dig one more hole. This time I had made it all the way so I could put the hole on the opposite side of the harder packed sand, where I finally winched myself to an advantageous position. I tied down my remaining tread plate to my bumper using a 550 cord and went full throttle to safety. I aired my tires back up to 30 psi, rewarded myself with a beverage, and set down to replot my route, bypassing that sandy wash. Looks like I had to do some backpedaling. I headed back towards the old US 80, which actually handrails the trail. From there I cut across towards Dateland, named after the underrated fruit of the date. I stopped in and picked up some dates before pushing back towards the trail. The next station was supposed to be Griswell Station. I was able to find some ruins near the highway, but nothing conclusive. I sat and watched the trucks pass as I enjoyed my dates, and then set back out on the road. Interestingly enough, in Ormsby's account, this area was covered rather vague as well. Nowadays, most of the old stations are covered up by either the interstate or modern farmland. The next stretch was completely uncharted. Despite sporadic tire tracks, it resulted in me kind of blazing my own path. However, one of the best things about BLM land is the unique freedom to explore certain areas. I searched that area for the Flapjack Station and found several likely areas, but again, nothing conclusive. I pressed on towards Oatman Station, only to be halted by my next obstacle. I reached a dry riverbed crossing with a challenging sandy bank on the other side and a very high center risk of a berm. You see right there, my car actually got stuck on that berm. I was able to reverse back and wasn't completely high-centered, but my second attempt didn't fare too well either. This is one of those times the 7,000-pound chassis on the Landy really makes itself known. And, well, neither did the third. realized that if I couldn't clear the berm, I was going to have to change my angle of approach or completely level the berm. I tried the angle of approach first, and well, that didn't work, so I took out my shovel and leveled out the berm. I gunned it, and I was on my way. The last climb of the day brought me onto the Oatman Mesa, where I stopped to soak in another fantastic Arizona sunset before making that final push to the site of the Oatman Massacre. This put me into the site with the waning minutes of silver twilight illuminating my surroundings. A little backstory on the Oatman family. In 1851, they encountered 19 Indians who were armed with clubs, bows, and arrows who came into their camp and demanded food. The patriarch, he protested. He said that he'd be robbing his family and starving his children if he gave the Indians food. But finally, he gave them some bread. And then they asked for more, which he refused. They came back and set upon their victims and massacred the whole family. Lorenzo, the son, was believed to be dead. The Apaches threw him off a cliff where he regained consciousness. His other two sisters, Olive and Mary Ann, were also still barely alive. Olive and Mary Ann were enslaved and traded amongst the Indians, where Mary Ann died. However, Lorenzo never gave up searching for his sister, and eventually found her 5 years later. I read and contemplated their story as I lay under the stars, resting for my next day on the trail. As always, y'all, thanks for watching. I really appreciate those likes and all the subscriptions. In the meantime, get out there and explore something.